paths before this. So this was my seventh path. So when I took this on, it was a very difficult path because, as you see, humor is a very difficult subject. When you look at somebody doing a humorous talk or a humorous skit, or you look at humorous scenes in movies and plays and serials, TV serials, you find you think it's very easy. Anybody can do it. Okay? It comes naturally. So there's nothing new about it. And we see a lot of people in and around us who are humorous and who've made a name for themselves by being humorous. But when I started to do this path, I found out that it's one of the most difficult things to do. Because humor, like any other emotion of the human mind, is different things to different people. It could be like I say something humorous according to me, but for the person listening, it may not sound humorous. I think I would have made a great joke, but somebody could take offense at it because for them it was not a joke, it was purely offensive remark that I have made. You think that you are kind of good at one liners and you crack one liners for something, and people might say, why is this person irritating us? Right? So, humor is a very difficult subject to kind of handle. And if you want to bring it into Toastmaster speeches, it is even more difficult. Unlike movies and plays and stand-up comedies and all that, where they can write a script, they can get that reviewed by their peers or their directors or other people and make it more great or have more finesse come to it. In Toastmasters, you don't have that. You get it reviewed by your mentor, but beyond that, to deliver it at an audience and the audience doesn't take it, uh, you would say that your thing has fallen up flat. And where do you search humor from? That's again what I was looking at. Where do you search humor from? And the best thing I found is the best way to get humor is to look at yourself. Some people make themselves the topic of humorous speech. That's one example. The other one is if you look at examples from your daily life, you will find humor everywhere. Okay? Because there is humor in everything that you do. Right? And when I started reflecting on that, I saw that there's a lot of things which I can pick up humor from. In Toastmasters, you see a lot of it happening around you. In daily life, you see a lot of it happening around you. And like I said, you have to be uh, very subjective about it and very careful about it. Certain things which you said are humorous may sound offensive or people might take offense at it. But certain things you can look at it and say, laugh and say, go away and say, yes, this is something that I have seen happening around me. So when I started working on my path, I actually took up examples from my daily life over the years. And I started bringing it into my speeches about how things happen in different ways and where you can see humor. One of the best ways I could think about humor was when I was growing up in Mumbai and traveling by local trains every day. That was a great place to find humor. Where people used to find humor even when somebody died. In Mumbai local trains, those who have traveled will know that in a week, there are a lot of people who die falling off the local trains, getting run over by it while crossing the tracks, okay, or getting hit by signal poles because most of the people are hanging outside. So when the train stops, the first reaction of people, most people inside the train, is not that sympathy for somebody died, but they would say, if you had to die, could you only find our train to come under? And they will say it so humorously. It's kind of a frustration of the train getting delayed and not able to reach their workplace on time, which is making them say it. So they don't mean it. but it's the frustration which is coming out, and the way people say it, suddenly you will find like laughing at it to say, what are you saying? There's somebody who died. But then somebody would say he died not because of his mistake, right? It's a gross thing because of his mistake only. Right? Why do you want to cross a railway track when a train is coming? So that's, you can find humor there. And sometimes in the rush, you end up standing on somebody else's feet. It happens. And once I know that there was a guy who was standing like that, so the person on whose feet he was standing, he just looked at him and said, how many years have you been staying in Mumbai? So the guy was like taken aback. He said, 20 years. He said, 20 years. And even now, you still don't know how to stand on your own feet. So it's like simple things of humor that come out in daily life. When they say, somebody came and asked, where does this road go? So somebody said, the road doesn't go anywhere. The road stays here only. You tell me where you want to go. And when you talk about that in a colloquial language, it makes it even more better. Okay. Somebody said, where will this bus go? He said, the bus is not going anywhere. It is standing. Only when the driver comes, the bus will go somewhere. So these are the kind of humor that you pick up from daily life. If you go to workplace, there's a lot of humor that happens in the workplace. And one of the best things I remember, which was so humorous, when I started my career, there was this person in the organization where I used to do a project. He was never promoted for so many years. And then he went to his manager and said during the appraisal cycle that I have worked so hard and you've not given me any promotion for so many years. What is the reason? So the manager said, do you read the Bhagavad Gita? He said, yes, I read the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita, what has Lord Krishna told Arjuna? Okay. He said, what? He said, do your duty, don't worry about the result. Okay. And the way he said it, like, do your duty, don't worry about the result, it was basically telling this guy, go, you're not going to get a promotion this year. Okay. And that line about him saying this became so viral in the organization that anytime somebody went and asked the boss would say, do your duty. He will quote the Bhagavad Gita and say, do your duty, don't worry about the outcome. Okay. And these are some of the things that you can pick up and say, you can see humor around it. There are people who will fight with each other in an organization. I've seen that. And then somebody would come and say, Ari, what, both of you are two good friends. Why are you fighting? And that one person would say, and this is also a real life incident, that I might be your good friend, but that friendship is outside the gate after 6 p.m. Within the organization, if you don't do something, I'm going to come at you. So he said it so humorously that 6 o'clock outside the gate became such a famous byline in that organization that whenever two people used to fight, of course, professionally, not physically, as part of the roles, they will say after 6 o'clock, they are different. Within the office, they are different. So that after 6 o'clock, outside the gate became a synonym to say how you need to work professionally within an organization. You could just get simple humor there also. So what I realized is that when you look at all these things, you will find humor everywhere. Now, how do you present that? The presentation is also different. So you can talk to people humorously, but some people will talk to you in a humorous way, crack jokes at your expense to ridicule you. That's wrong. Okay? You can't ridicule a person using humor. Stand-up comedians might do it, but that's their profession. And when you walk into a stand-up comedian show, you pretty well much know that sometimes if they pick on you, you will get ridiculed or you would get laughed at. So you are ready for that. It's not that you are walking in there without knowing that this is going to happen. But in a professional organization or when you work with people, if you want to use subtle humor to get a point across, that is good. But humor should not be at the cost of ridiculing somebody or putting somebody down. Which is why I said very in the beginning itself that you should understand how many people can understand humor and how many cannot understand humor. There are some who may not be that good at understanding humor. So if you want to like pass a message on to them in a humorous way, they may take offense at it. And it's happened to me couple of times also. Okay. So when I've tried to pass on something humorously, it was taken offense at and saying, well, I didn't like this, or this person said something to me. So you have to be, that understanding also needs to be there to say, how do I convey a message? If you want to convey a message humorously, convey it in such a way that you are not pointing out the individual, but you are talking in general to the issue or the problem at hand. So with the intention that the person who's supposed to get the message will get it. And what happens is humor sometimes is a good way to break the ice. In a serious situation, I've seen if you bring in a humorous thing, it breaks the ice. People will generally loosen up, okay? And then you can get a conversation going much faster. And that's the reason why I learned that having a set of humorous stock of humorous things with you, it could be one liners or jokes or incidences or anecdotes which you can use. It's very important because it kind of breaks the ice immediately with people. Okay. And so that you don't need to kind of reinvent the wheel every time you go to a meeting. And how many, most of us would have also seen that when you walk into something and the atmosphere is very icy cold or it's stiff, the moment you crack a joke, uh, it lightens up. Okay. But when you crack a joke, please keep in mind that you should understand what is the audience that you are cracking a joke at. So when the learning from all of this and over my years is that when you use humor, it's the most difficult thing to kind of implement. It does not come easily to people. You have to keep practicing it. And the only way you can practice it is if you use it in your daily conversations with people. Don't ridicule people, don't make them the butt of the joke. But if you bring in humorous situations, humorous incidences, humorous anecdotes, okay, and I would say kind of the edification of that should happen in a continuous manner. And if you do that, I'm sure you will be one of the most sought about people whom others want to listen to, because it's proven that one of the traits of an attractive personality is having a sense of humor. And each one of us can build that sense of humor. It's only that we have to keep practicing it, we have to keep building on it, and slowly, as I said, people will start noticing us, and you don't have to go after saying that has somebody noticed us. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day, which in this case is me.
Come forward and give your feedback on the speech given by DTM Satish Menon. Over to Toastmaster Ranga.
You, General Evaluator, Toastmasters on the right. First, let's put our hands together to for distinguished Toastmaster Satish Menon for having completed the path in the human. So, as the saying goes, he will be in seventh heaven now because he has completed seven paths. It's not a small task. Going through each pathway is by itself a learning experience. It is an edifying experience. Now, uh, distinguished Toastmaster Satish Menon put it very succinctly. He said, humor is serious business. So, and from there, he was trying to find various ways where he could source humor from. And ultimately, he decided that the best way was to learn from himself. And that is either it could be self deprecating humor or finding humor in situations, which distinguished Toastmaster Satish Menon did. And where did he find humor? It was in trains when he was traveling. Of course, it was a bit morbid, but that is a fact of life. So he pointed it out in a very easy flowing manner. And he found humor in daily things, whether it was in travel or in work. He brought about a few examples of how things were at work and how the manager or the CEO brought out quotes from the Holy Scriptures to tell the employees what is it that you deserve and what is it that you may not be getting. So it was brought out very subtly. And from the daily things, we could also see the subtle humor which he had gathered all along his life. Learning is difficult to implement. Sometimes whatever you learn, it is very, very difficult to implement. And he brought it about again in various forms during his travel, especially abroad. So he was able to say that he was learning something, but at the same time, it was difficult to implement. Practice is something that was very important for him, not for the humor part of it, but when he practiced it regularly, he was able to see a particular pattern and which helped him immensely. Now, coming to a couple of things where there could be some improvements, well, BTM Satish, distinguished Toastmaster Satish Menon could have pointed out the impact of his learnings for having completed this particular pathway would have given others for people who are in the process of finishing up a pathway. What are the things that he learned during the pathway? And he could have also listed out a few accomplishments. Of course, all of us know his accomplishments inside Toastmasters. He could have possibly pointed out to a few accomplishments outside of Toastmasters, how it helped in completing this pathway. Overall, he was able to give a good idea about what the pathway, the engaging humor pathway taught him. And he could have just spent a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds telling us about the impact and the accomplishments. Over to the general event.